As you guys know, we've just come out of the lockdown days. We're dealing with the cost of living crisis, the energy security crisis, and everything else, a lack of leadership in the country in general. But Nicola Sturgeon's SNP are way too busy plotting secret meetings with the civil service in Scotland to leave the United Kingdom, because clearly this is the perfect time to divide the country. The Scottish Sun broke this story, and now it's been followed with various papers in Scotland saying that Nicola Sturgeon held top-level meetings with the civil service in Scotland on the SNP's plan for the second referendum in Scotland. Now, they've had 3 meetings between 2021 and this year, 2022, and they are now refusing also to release the details of those meetings. And this is completely chaotic right now, and I'm not really sure why the mainstream media right now are not kicking off, because you can't have these confidential meetings, and when they are reported and when we find out and you say, yeah, but we can't really give you the details because it's quite confidential, sensitive, it's going to ruin our plans, basically. Yeah, that's what you're saying. Now, Nicola Sturgeon has been under a lot of attacks for breaking her own rules, and she thinks that the best way to handle that situation is to distract the public, and the way to distract them is to essentially anger them even more, because she thinks she has a mandate. No, there's no mandate when it comes to the actual opinion polls in Scotland on the second referendum. Now, we've had the Scottish Tory leader, Douglas Ross, coming out to criticise his plans. Again, he doesn't really have that much authority in Scotland anyway, but both the Scottish Labour and the Scottish Tories, they're both as bad as each other, incompetent, which explains why, by default, the SNP keep winning these elections, not because people in Scotland want to leave the United Kingdom. But Douglas Ross says Nicola Sturgeon's eye is off the ball again. She is not focused on the day job, and that's why we see scandal after scandal over ferries, drug deaths, school standards, A&E waiting times, and just about everything else. But Queen Nicola thinks that she could come back and say, I'm just going to ignore any criticism, and I'm going to basically do what I want to do. So, Nicola says, I have set out the timetable I'm working to. Okay? Nothing has changed around that. Plans for that are underway, so nothing has changed. It doesn't work that way on a constitutional matter, but okay, fine. She continues by saying that I won the mandate for that, and in an election this year, last year, so she wants to do it next year, because she thinks that if people in Scotland vote for either a small majority SNP in power or a big minority in power, that means that that's enough mandate to leave the United Kingdom. She forgets about the fact that, well, she knows, but she lies to the public, saying the fact that people vote for the SNP is not necessarily just because they want to leave the United Kingdom, because we are seeing in the actual every regular poll that comes out that they don't really have full mandate. They're silent majority, because it's just the default option. They don't want Labour, they don't want Conservatives, and a lot of people, especially new voters, because a lot of young people vote for them, is literally called Scottish National Party. So they think that SNP is the party that will prioritise the issues in Scotland. And then every single time when they vote for them, they regret it, and then they end up not voting for them in the next election. Now, we've had Pamela Nash as well, who's in charge of Scotland in a union. She's also lashed out against these revelations that we've had, saying amid a cost of living crisis and pressure on local public services, the last thing that the government should be focusing on is how to divide Scotland once again. Taking up civil service time and resources like this is irresponsible and inappropriate. That's very true. The entire focus of government should be on bringing people and communities together. Thing is, Pamela, they don't really care about this, because the SNP minions, they only have one agenda. And they are control freaks, and the best way to do it, because it's not really just an emotional argument for them, some sort of nostalgia that Scotland should always be outside the United Kingdom, they just think that this is the only way they could have authoritarianism in Scotland, by completely leaving the Union, the Kingdom, and then that's how they can actually have their own left-wing mentality then spread around the country. And that way you will have an actual one-party state compared to even now. We're going to come back, because I think we're going to have some sort of update on Nicola Sturgeon later today or early tomorrow, because she also went on Loose Women as a guest, and that didn't really end well. I'm going to do another video on that as well, so subscribe to the channel. I'm Myles TC, and we are the media.